Hello, my name is David Bullock. I'm a Baptist minister in Detroit, Michigan. Detroit is ground zero in the auto industry's current crisis. With the recent announcement of the selling of GM stock by the government, GM has emerged from bankruptcy. Yet a growing number of people are asking when GM will emerge from moral bankruptcy. Case in point, take GM's operations at its non-union Chevy assembly plant in Bogota, Colombia. 200 workers were fired there after suffering work-related injuries. Injuries like herniated disc, carpal tunnel syndrome, and tendinitis. We only know about this because some of the fired workers decided to fight back against the injustice of losing their livelihoods. They set up an encampment and occupied a space in front of the U.S. Embassy. They did this for a whole year without any results. So a group of them started a hunger strike. To dramatize their struggle, some even sewed their lips shut.
Jorge Parra, representing ASOTRECOL, the association of his injured co-workers, came to Detroit seeking a just solution with a corporation in the building behind me. He's on day 51 of his hunger strike. GM says that their Colombian plant meets, and I quote, "the stringent standards consistent with GM's facilities around the world." Having worked in a GM plant, in a UAW organized GM plant for 20 years, I'm more than skeptical about the company's claims. That skepticism was confirmed when the UAW safety representatives went down to the facility in Colombia and reported that no worker in the U.S. would work under these conditions.
Meeting Jorge has opened my eyes to what all workers face when unions are weakened or don't exist. Right to work in Michigan is a step on the road to poor working conditions like those maintained in Colombia.
You are doing something for us that we are unwilling to do for ourselves right now. We want painless change. It has never happened. There has always been a price to pay. And you are paying a price in order to incur justice.
If we turn our backs on these Colombian workers, our fate will soon be similar to theirs. I have joined Jorge in his hunger strike, and I urge workers everywhere to support his struggle.
As the story of this gross injustice spreads, local unions, religious leaders, students, community groups, and celebrities, such as actors Danny Glover and Martin Sheen, are rallying to support Jorge and ASOTRECOL. People around the world are moved by the strength and courage of these Colombian workers. They have maintained an encampment in front of the U.S. Embassy in Bogota, Colombia now for over 500 days. The U.S. government can still influence GM and the labor situation in Colombia through the Labor Action Plan in the recently enacted Colombia Free Trade Agreement. The Obama administration can demand that GM resolve the fired workers' issues fairly and that GM abide by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
GM has emerged from financial bankruptcy. They have a new line of cars and they have new customers. But it remains to be seen if GM will emerge from moral bankruptcy before Jorge Parra loses his life. I continue to pray for GM's leadership, but I ask you to help nudge them toward a more righteous path. As we consider the injustices the Colombian workers face, I'm reminded of the labor slogan that is in the spirit of the Sermon on the Mount. An injury to one is an injury to us all. The U.S. government, representing the American people, supported GM in emerging from financial bankruptcy. It's time to direct GM out of its moral bankruptcy. Those interested in supporting Jorge Parra and the Colombian workers' quest for justice can get more information at www.asotrecol.com. That's www.asotrecol.com.
Have you sung a song for freedom or marched that picket line? Have you been to jail for justice? Will you go to jail for justice? Have you been